Evaluating the discriminant and what it means. First, we will look at solution types visually. Your first type of a solution for a quadratic equation can have two solutions. And as you can see, the blue parabola intersects the x-axis 2 times. So the first intersection represents solution number 1, and the second one will be your solution number 2. All right, so let's move on to our second type of solution. When solving quadratic equations, you can also have one solution. So if we take a look at our next visual, our blue parabola, as you can see, it only touches the x-axis a single time. That is the only solution. So our third type of solution is the one that we call no solutions. So let's take a look at our third visual. If you look at this parabola, notice it never touches the x-axis. If your parabola never touches the x-axis, that means that this parabola has no solution. More specifically, and you may hear this maybe in a couple of sections from now, you would say that it has imaginary solutions. All right, so let's recap that. Visually, if you have two solutions, that means you are touching the x-axis twice. If you have one solution, you are touching the x-axis once. And if you have no solutions, you are never touching the x-axis. Very important that you understand what those mean visually, because now there's a way that we can determine what type of solution this is just by evaluating the numbers. So the discriminant is here for one job: to identify the solution type without seeing the visuals first. And when we say discriminant, the discriminant is when you raise b to the second power minus 4 times a times c. That is your discriminant. All right, so this is actually easier than you may think, but you gotta make sure we know the rule first, right? The rules are gonna let us know something. If your discriminant is negative, that means you will have no solutions. So that's what we mean when we say b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. We are basically saying if your discriminant is negative, you will have no solutions. If your discriminant is equal to 0, that means you will have one solution. If your discriminant is equal to 0, you will have one solution. If your discriminant is positive, that means you will have two solutions. So when you see b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, that's basically saying if your discriminant is positive, you will have two solutions. All right, so let's have a quick recap. We started off by talking about a couple of rules. And the rules that we talked about first were visually, all right? So you know what solutions look like. It's determined by the number of times you touch the x-axis. You touch twice is two solutions. You touch one time is one solution. You never touch is no solutions. Now, remember, you're not always given the visuals, right? So we have things in place to help you figure out these solutions even though you don't have a visual. And that's where the discriminant comes in. If your discriminant is negative, that is no solutions. If your discriminant is 0, that is one solution. And if your discriminant is positive, that is two solutions. These are the things that you have to know first before the numbers even make sense.